Ready?
Yep.
Sure?
I'm ready.
I'm laughing because guess what? We're recording. So hi guys, it's KJ from For Life Coaching. I'm here today with Jaren Sina. Jaren Sina is a hometown guy. He's from New Jersey, right near where I am. I never told you this, but I lived in Bridgewater, New Jersey, Somerset County. All right. So as I was reading about you, I saw the accolades in Somerset County, and I was like, yes. So well, let's talk a little bit about Jaren. So Jaren is actually, he was born in Portugal. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Right. He was born in Portugal, right where his dad was inducted to the Portugal Hall of Fame as a basketball player. Okay, big shoes to follow. Let's talk a little bit about Jaren growing up. So he was in high school. In high school, he was a three-time All-State guard. He scored 2,146 points and 861 assists. Is that right?
That's correct.
Wow, I can't even count that. It's just like, whoa. So then he was a four-star recruit in 2013. Am I correct?
That's right.
Excellent. He was ranked in ESPN's top 100 basketball players. Cool. And he is a three-time Somerset County Player of the Year.
That's all correct.
Is all correct?
That's all correct.
I'm feeling smart. So high school, he was ranked USA Today's top 25 schools, right?
Yeah.
Ranked, okay.
Yeah, Gil St. Bernard's, yep.
Was ranked, they were ranked, I'm sorry, top one of USA Today's top 25 schools, high schools. He is an all-time leading scorer and assist leader in Somerset County history?
Yes.
Wow, okay. And second in three-pointers.
That's right.
So then his freshman year, then he, after high school, he decided to go to college. He was being heavily recruited. He was being recruited by Indiana, Alabama, Northwestern, and Seton Hall?
Yep, that's correct.
Good. All right. And so out of those, he actually decided to go to, well, there were some decisions in there, but his ultimate decision was Seton Hall, and he played for his dad.
Yep, played for my dad in high school, and then obviously went to Seton Hall, played in the Big East for 2 years, and then finished up at George Washington University in Washington, D.C.
Well, 2 years, he's in the Big East Conference. He was all-rookie on the all-rookie team. He was actually the Big East Conference academic, received Big East Conference academic all-star recognition. He was ranked 10th in the conference. Can't see my cheat sheet. Oh, from three-point range, right? In the Big East games.
That's
good
right.
job. Then he transferred to George Washington University. Well, that's more than good job. That's an excellent job. So then he transferred to George Washington University, and there he was ranked top 10 in the Atlantic Conference. Am I correct?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. In three-point field goals, three-point field goal percentage, and also he won an assist to ratio percentage.
Yeah, like one of the leaders in like assist to turnover ratio in a conference.
Cool. So that means you didn't hog the ball.
Yep.
Don't you hate those people that just hog the ball? But anyway, no, that was probably me, and I'm just kidding. Actually, I was a person, you know how when they do the teams, they pick the teams for basketball, they get to the last person, they're like, well, I'll just take you. Good. Oh, no. just to warm the bench nicely for us. So then after college, he actually went on to play professional basketball. He was a starter on the Kosovo national team. He competed in the 2017 European qualifiers. He competed in the 2018 World Cup qualifiers. He signed his first professional team with, you got to say it. What's the name of the team?
Well, first I was in Rapla, which was in Estonia, and then I was in Blois, which was a team in France. And then I also played in Austria for a team called Raverson Wells. So I played for a couple really great clubs throughout Europe.
And did you play for Poland too? I
was in Poland this past year with a team called Ania Estoria, but obviously the season got cut short because of COVID.
Yes. So I had those names there, but I just wanted to make sure that I said them correctly.
They're tough to pronounce.
So anyway, congratulations on a very, very successful basketball skills and adventures and career and high school and college and so much that you're bringing to the table. After this, after doing working in the or while working in the professional realm, he also decided to coach. So now he's coaching with his dad at the Sina Hoop Academy.
Yes.
Sina Hoop Academy, and their mission is to push players to reach their goals and dreams while maintaining a positive and fun environment. Excellent. Excellent. Well, listen, Jaren, thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to talk a little bit about your journey. I wanted to talk about the topic of the best of both worlds, because you've had an opportunity to do a lot of different things. And I think that the picture or the scope that you can bring to, athletes today will be very exciting and very dynamic, because sometimes we live in a world where we are only exposed to X, and we never realize that there may be Y, Z, because our coaches may not realize, or, we may not have the, just the insight and the opportunities on how to get there. So even your camp providing a pathway for individuals to, please forgive me, audition or try out for a European team is phenomenal. But I want to talk about that a little bit later on. I want to, first of all, talk about your journey and help people just hear, once again, a story about the best of both worlds. So first of all, you said you were born in Portugal.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. My dad played in Europe for 16 years, and he was playing in Portugal at that time. So obviously my mom and him were living in Portugal, and I was actually born in Portugal.
And did they speak Portuguese?
No, not really. Because, a lot of times when you play in these countries, you're only there for usually between 8 and 10 months, which is a long time. But usually 1 year at a time, you're kind of bouncing from country to country. So that particular year, you happen to be in Portugal, and that's where I was born, which is pretty cool.
Wow. Well, have you ever been back to the place where you were born?
Actually, I haven't, and I've been all over Europe, but I've never actually had I've never actually had the time to go back. But I definitely would love to go back there at some point.
So you were born in Portugal. You came to the U.S.
Yeah.
And while you're in the U.S., your dad is doing what? He's coaching basketball, or?
So like I said, he was playing for 16 years, and obviously once he got, he retired, he started his own basketball academy and became the head coach at Gill St. Bernard's here in Gladstone, New Jersey, and pretty much has been doing that since my sister and I were kids.
Okay. So you're growing up, and you're definitely introduced to basketball.
Yeah.
Right. Your sister plays at St. John's, and you're playing at these. You're playing at college basketball, etc. So you were introduced to basketball. How were you introduced to basketball? What happened? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think for me, it was just more. It was always around me. I just remember as a kid, my dad was always running camps and clinics, and for me, I was just always around them. So I was kind of always participating in them. And basketball just kind of been part of my life. It was just one of those things where it just was always there. So for me, it just became a passion at a really young age.
Were you always playing, or were you behind the scenes as well?
Pretty much both. Obviously if there was younger kids playing, I was playing with them, or if my dad was coaching, one of his older teams, I'd be on the bench sitting with him, coaching, or just kind of being his assistant as a little kid. So for me, I just always loved the game, and I was always around it a lot. So for me, like I said, from the beginning of time, I've always been around the game.
Yeah. So you were learning the kind of like the 360 of the game.
Pretty much, yeah. Like they always say, sometimes a coach's son has such an advantage, and I actually believe that to be true, just because you're always being coached by someone, and you're always seeing the game of basketball from so many different perspectives, and it was such an advantage, and I loved it.
So did you play anywhere besides underneath your dad growing up? I mean, did you play at any other schools or any other programs?
Yeah, so growing up, my dad, he really wanted me just to get used to just kind of playing in all different environments. So I remember as a kid, I'd play all over New Jersey. He would drop me off. We used to drive to like Brooklyn, Coney Island, Brooklyn. He'd drop me off in New York City and have me playing in inner cities and playing with different types of players. And I really think just seeing, different environments of the game of basketball really helped me expand my game. So it was at a young age, it was pretty amazing just to get to, have that experience.
Wow. Do you remember playing against people who were hungry versus people who were, just playing? Could you automatically say like, oh God, they're hungry. Like this is going to be a good game.
I just remember as a kid, I would say I was an average basketball player at a young age, playing, my local town recreation department. And then as I started, getting more into the game, and my dad started to put me in different environments, I saw how passionate some of these other players were, and I was like, all right, well, if I want to really make a career out of this, or reach my goals, I really have to work harder, because look at these guys, they're really talented. So I think seeing that really kind of brought my level of basketball to a higher level.
Wow. And then did you try to, but then at the same time, did you notice people who were a little bit more indifferent or not really into the game as much? Like, did you
Yeah,
notice?
that's what started to happen, where I think I felt like I kind of had to get out of my element or environment, because for some kids it was more just playing for fun, which was fine. But for me, I knew I wanted to, play at the highest level in high school and then in college, and hopefully one day, make a professional career out of that. And I think at a young age I decided that. So I knew if I wanted to really reach my goals, I would have to play at a really high level and play with really good players.
Did he take your sister to do this too, or was it just you?
My sister, same with my sister. She was kind of like a similar situation, where she was always following me, and her path was a little different because she was so undersized. But she, again, she was always around the game, and I kind of obviously mentored her as well. And it was kind of a similar situation where she kind of just kept getting better and got to pursue her goals as well at a high level, which was amazing that the both of us, got to do that.
So you're in middle school and you're getting ready to go to high school,
Yeah.
right? Are you thinking like freshman year, I gotta like be on the varsity team, or freshman year, I want to play JV, or I hope, or what are you thinking? Are you hungry?
Yeah. Well, I remember. So it's funny. I remember my freshman year. Going into my freshman year, I would say to myself, well, I just want to play in college. I don't know what level, Division I, Division II, Division III. I just want to play. And I'll never forget, my freshman year ended. I had a solid freshman year, like nothing spectacular, but I had a good freshman year. And I remember after my last game of the season, I read in a newspaper that Jaren Sina got offered by Rutgers. And I was like, oh my God, it's a Big East school at the time. That was a big time program. And it kind of hit me like, wow, I have a chance to actually like that was the first time where I really felt
Wait. Say that again. You got offers from Rutgers.
yeah, I got they offered me a scholarship as a freshman in high school, which was, amazing. And at that point, I really thought to myself, wow, this is like, I think I could really play at a high level. And I think that just excited me. And from that moment, from that freshman year on, I kind of took off at another level, and obviously started getting recruited and, being ranked nationally, and, in the state was regarded as one of the top players. So it was kind of really, I'll never forget that point from that freshman year, where when that offer came, it kind of changed things for me. It kind of opened my eyes to say, wow, I really think I could do something. Like my goals are starting to, all that hard work is starting to pay off, which was, it was an amazing feeling.
Yeah, there's a theory out there. It's called positive psychology, which means basically it's a strength-based approach. So if you start telling people what they can be, then they start to aspire to be that. So a lot of times people will tell you, or, in that positive psychology, the approach is to tell people what they can be. So they're hungry and they're aspiring to it, and they believe that they can be it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I
if
definitely
you,
believe in that.
yeah. So I love it. I mean, I always try to enforce that. I mean, with my kids, with everybody. I mean, I just always try to enforce positive psychology. Like, you can, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. So you're thinking, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. So you're going through high school, freshman year, Rutgers. Anything else along the way between freshman year, sophomore year, junior year?
Yeah. So like freshman year, we're playing in Somerset County, doing well. Obviously we're a young team. And then, like I said, sophomore year, I started building a name for myself. And by my junior year, we were ranked, one of, top 10 team in the nation, which was unbelievable.
Wow.
And at that point, I was ranked, top 50 players in America. I was getting recruited by almost, every college in the Northeast, pretty much in the East Coast. And
Explain what recruited looks like.
it was, it was unbelievable. I mean, I had every day I'd go to practice, and there would just be a gym filled with coaches, and I'd, go home, and my cell phone would have, 60, 70 messages from coaches calling me, obviously just trying to connect with me and whatnot. And it was, it was very, I think at the time it seemed so normal. Looking back, I wish I enjoyed it a little bit more, because, there was so much happening at the time. I kind of made it a little bit more stressful than it had to be. But again, it was amazing. It was a really just a great honor to have that, that have that many people want you, you know what I mean? And it was a great time.
But while these 60, 70 people are calling you, are these 67 people calling your friends too, or are you just out there on that island?
So I had teammates that were also being recruited at a high level as well. And prior to us being at Gill wasn't really a basketball school, I'd say. They were just an average, basketball school. And we came with about 7 players on our high school team. We played together since the 3rd, 4th grade. So we were together
Wow.
forever. We all decided to go to the same high school together, which was amazing because we had that chemistry. And pretty much we were all getting recruited, and it was amazing just to see, again, like I said, us starting at such a young age and kind of accomplishing our goals all together. And it was just amazing.
Yeah, because you all knew how each other played. You knew
Exactly. We had such
who
an
would be
advantage.
looking, who wouldn't be looking, and
Yeah, we had such an advantage, and I think teams started to really, we developed that reputation in the state of New Jersey where people just knew that we kind of just knew where each other were on the court at all times because we played together for so long. You know, our system was so just like down packed that it was tough for teams to compete with us because we knew how to play together because we've been playing together for so long.
wow.
Yeah.
So you're all being recruited. Are any of you looking at the same schools or?
It's weird. Well, actually, it was kind of different. I mean, obviously, we had some schools that were recruiting us that were, the same schools, but some of the guys were a little bit higher academically, so they were getting recruited by the Ivy Leagues and the Patriot Leagues, which was amazing, And some guys were just kind of mid-major, which means they have 3 different tiers of Division I basketball. They say low major, which is obviously maybe like a lower tier. You have the mid-major schools and then the high majors, which are like Duke, ACC, Big East, SEC schools, these big programs.
Like
So,
UNC?
exactly, UNC, all those
UNC.
types of schools.
UNC. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then afterwards, all these schools are coming to you. How do you narrow them down? How do you figure out which one is the right one?
Oof, it was tough. So my sophomore year, I decided to commit to the University of Alabama, which was a big deal because I was only a sophomore and it was extremely rare at the time. I might have been one of the only guys in the country to commit to college that early. I was only a sophomore in high school and I'm already knowing where I'm going to go to college, 3 or 4 years prior. So I ended up committing to University of Alabama to play for
Why?
a great. For me, I remember playing down in this big tournament down in Orlando, Florida, and I was kind of, not a big time player yet on the scene. And there was one school that just kept watching and they kept, it was the University of Alabama. The whole staff would come every game. And I just developed a great relationship with that coaching staff. And I really just loved the head coach there and the assistants. And then I ended up committing, they recruited me the hardest. So I ended up committing there and I committed there my sophomore year. And then I remember there was rumors that maybe there's a possibility that the head coach wouldn't be kept. There's a rumor saying he might get fired or whatnot. So I was like, it made me a little nervous. So I ended up decommitting my junior year and just
So
opening.
how do you decommit?
Pretty much at that point, you don't sign a letter of intent until your senior year. When you sign that national letter of intent, that's it. You're going there. You're signed to the school. The only way to get out of that national letter of intent is if your coach gets fired prior to stepping on campus. So that's the only way. So pretty much what I did was a verbal commitment. So I made my commitment to the school. They understood that, but obviously nothing would be official until I signed that, national letter of intent.
Is it advertised that you made the verbal commitment?
Yeah, it was like, obviously I made the announcement. It was all over like ESPN and, all these, big social media sites and, and marketing sites. So yeah, I commit there my sophomore year, decommit junior year, and then just kind of let, the rest of the schools recruit me from here, from that point on. And then my senior year, I committed to Northwestern University.
Why?
And signed my national letter of intent. For me at
Why?
that time, when I committed there, it was a Big Ten university school, so which is big time college basketball. Academically, it was a top 10 school in the nation, and I just felt like for me, I really thought I would thrive there, and I just loved everything about the campus. I loved Chicago. I thought it was really, a nice area, and then signed my letter of intent. Maybe like a month before I step on campus. Again, like I said, once you sign that national letter of intent, you can't get out. Sign my letter of intent a month before. I get a call from the head coach about 8:00 in the morning. Hi, Jaren. I've been let go. I've been fired, and I'm about to step on campus in 2 months, and this guy's fired, and now I'm in limbo. So I committed to Alabama. Now I'm going to Northwestern, signing my letter of intent, and I get a call from the head coach that he's now been fired. And I'm like, I'm stuck here. You know what I mean? I have 2 months before summer school starts, and I had to make a decision. The athletic director and most of the people at Northwestern ended up flying to my house in New Jersey to discuss, maybe their next possible candidate. And they said it would take some time for them to hire the next guy. And I ended up opting out of the letter of intent because now I had no coach and I had to go through the process all over again. But now, obviously, it was a little different this time because I had 2 months to make a decision, and most schools already had all their players. So it was pretty stressful.
How long was the process of them looking for a new coach?
They said, they're like, listen, it could rain. They hired a search firm to conduct the process of, interviewing a new head coach. So they ended up, I want to say it ended up taking them about 3 or 4 weeks to hire the new coach. And for me, I just didn't feel like I had that kind of time because, again, these guys have been recruiting me for 4 years, and now I had to make a decision based on 3 weeks. So it was very, very difficult.
And so did they try to tell you who some of the candidates were that they were looking at, or they?
Yeah, I remember asking them. Obviously, they couldn't disclose some of that information just because I think it was still early in the process. But for me, I was obviously frustrated just because at the time I met with the AD earlier that year, and he guaranteed me that, the coach would still be here next year, everything would be fine. And obviously that wasn't the case, and they let go of him. And I just felt like I was in a situation where I had to make a decision, and it was tough, but I had to make a decision quickly. And at that point, I made the decision just to stay home and, go to Seton Hall and play local. And I knew that was a place where I could play right away. I was familiar with the coaches, and I just had to make a kind of a last minute decision.
Wow. So along the way, are you like buying the jerseys and telling people that you're going, and like,
Yeah,
are you all amped up and?
yeah, it was terrible. I'll never forget the day I was laying. I remember waking up in the morning. It was like during spring break. It was like right after, like, it's kind of right while March Madness is going on, and the head coach just called me at 8 a.m. and I'm like, this can't be good. Why is he calling me at 8 a.m.? And he calls me at 8 a.m. He's like, yeah, Jaren, I'm sorry, but I've been let go. I wish you the best. If there's anything you need me to do in the meantime, just let me know. And of course, everyone knows I'm going to Northwestern. Most of the kids in high school at this point are all pretty much just deciding, they've already decided where they're going to school. They've already, had all their financial aid packets for, all that stuff. They're all set. So at that point, we're now going into April, and I'm still not sure where I'm going to school in June. So it was a stressful time.
Wow. Yeah. It was actually March 24th, 2013.
Yeah. I knew it was sometime in March.
Yeah, that had happened.
Yeah.
So you decided to go to Seton Hall.
Yeah.
You're there. What are your thoughts? Are you still getting the college experience because you're so close to home? I mean, are you like, now is dad still checking in?
It was tough. I mean, everyone on campus was great. It was a great school for me. I just know it was tough because obviously my heart was going to Northwestern initially. That's where I signed my letter of intent. So when I signed that letter of intent, that's kind of where I wanted to end up. But there was good things and bad things. I mean, it was great to play at Seton Hall. I'm local. I'm playing at the Prudential Center in Newark. All my family, friends are there. So obviously it was nice to have all that kind of support. But I also saw it as more of like a commuter school. A lot of people didn't really stay on campus.
That's what I was asking. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't stay on campus. So I didn't really feel like I got for me personally, I'm not saying this is for everyone at Seton Hall, but I just didn't really feel like I got that true like college experience.
Yeah. Because I remember, I'm from New Jersey, from that area. And I remember we used to go to Seton Hall all the time. So, and we were local, I didn't go there when I was in college, when I was in high school, but we were local and we used to go there. Yeah. So you're at Seton Hall, and like you said, it's a commuter school. It's local. It's still a great experience because you're blowing up the charts, with your performance there. But at a particular time, you decide, you know what, I think I want a little bit more. What happened? How did you figure out where to go based on the fact that you'd already gone through that crazy recruiting period?
It was tough because I said, I remember early on, I always told myself, like, I was like, I really don't want to transfer schools. Like, I just hope this is the right fit, even though I had to make it, decision last second. But at that point, I knew that, like, I kind of wanted more, I don't even want to say athletically. I just think my experience, I wanted to be just on a different environment, campus wise, maybe just get away from home a little bit. Not that there was anything wrong with being in New Jersey, but I just kind of wanted to see something different and just get a different, like I said, different experience. And then I obviously got recruited by a lot of other schools as a transfer, but I thought George Washington was a great fit. Again, academically, and I was in Washington D.C., which was amazing. So I made the decision to go to GW, which was a great one.
Yeah, like, so how much do you love DC? Love DC? Like, well, first of all, I just want to go back really quickly. So you had the best of both worlds with regards to playing high school basketball, because and beforehand, because you were able to go to the hoops camps, you were able to play with amongst different players, you were able to play with your teammates that you played with for a long period of time. So you're always having these options, these more than one facet. You know, it's multifaceted as to your basketball career. When you start the recruiting process, you're being recruited by multiple locations. You know, you have an opportunity to commit to one school, another school, etc. So you're continuously getting a lot of opportunities, a lot of options, right? You then go to GW. And now when you're in GW, you're in a completely different environment. You don't have the, you know, you're not around dad, you're not around the family. I mean, all those things, all those options were available, but you know, if you decided to leap out or do something different, you always had that safety net there, right?
Yeah.
You always had your friends that you played with for years.
Exactly.
You always had your sister who you could play with, you know, you always had your dad who you could play with. Now you're taking the leap. No more safety net. What are you thinking? You're going to GW. GW is a different world too now.
Yeah, no, it was completely different. Well, so you got to remember, so the NCAA rules are, so if you transfer schools, you have to sit out for an entire year.
Yes, well, they are, but they're changing, right?
Well, exactly, now they are. But when I played, so at that point now I had a year off of basketball. So for me, I've never taken a year off away from the game. So I thought that year was unbelievable. And the fact that I kind of just got to be a regular student for a year, in the sense of, obviously I still practice every day, but I wasn't playing in games. And I really got to explore DC. Really just got to see a lot of different things. I made so many different friends outside of the athletic department, and it was a great experience. And I think I really grew up that year. And I was just in DC a couple of weeks ago. You know, for me it just became like obviously it's like a second home in a way, because you know I lived there for a couple of years and made so many great friends. A lot of my best friends today are now from GW. A lot of them will be at my wedding, so it's just. I'm really happy I made that decision. And again, it definitely was life-changing.
Yeah. And once again, the best of both worlds. Now you're really getting a feel for that academic world as well as the sports world. And like you said, DC is like, I love DC. Like, I'm a little kid when I go to DC. Like, I love the zoo. I love all the Smithsonians, you know, like I love the American history one and the space and science one and the art one. And I love that. But I also love that it reminds me a little bit of home. So being from New Jersey, I went to New York. I worked in New York. I went to New York just about every other weekend. When I was little, my dad worked in Manhattan. So we were in New York pretty much every weekend because he would do some follow-up work. But in New York, I don't know if you recall this or if you experienced this, but in New York, you can go to Little Italy and get authentic cuisine, and you can hear people speaking in Italian. You can go to Chinatown, and you hear, you know, a couple blocks away, you hear people speaking Chinese, and you can go to Spanish Harlem, and you can go to Harlem, and you can go to Alphabet City, and you can go to the Village, and you can go to the Upper West Side, which is the Hasidic Jewish community or the Jewish community. You can go to the Upper East Side, and you know that's a different type of affluence. But you have all these worlds right there. You know, right there in one, or all these cultures right there in one place. DC is the closest thing I've ever experienced to that Manhattan experience.
I definitely agree. Yeah, definitely agree. And I remember it was cool because even there'd be times where I'd have family visit or friends from back home come visit on weekends or whatever. And I always felt like there was always so much to do. There was never like a boring weekend. There was always something going on in DC.
Oh,
There's
that's
always
free.
You know,
you want a lot of free stuff too.
No, exactly. There's
you
always,
know?
You know, it was always something going on.
My daughter lives in Maryland now, and so every time I go up to visit her, it's like it's an adventure. Like we go to Six Flags, we go to, we go to the museums, we go, even if you just go walk around the monuments.
No, it's unbelievable.
You know, it's never the same because there's always different people. You know, it's eclectic. What is it? The Naval Yard, just everything. Like I love that area. Like I'm like a kid, I'm like a kid when I go to DC. I'm like, oh, okay, you ready?
Where I lived, my apartment, and I had a really nice apartment. I would walk out of my apartment, maybe take like a 3-minute walk and just look, and the White House. I'd have all that view, all those views from my apartment. It was just crazy to live like in the heart of DC. I was in Foggy Bottom, which is literally like
Oh yeah,
you're like right in the heart of
that's
everything.
Adams Morgan, right?
It's it's right over. It's the next one over. Foggy Bottom is right over from Adams Morgan. And then you
Yeah.
have Georgetown, which, like you said, there's these like little pockets of these little areas in DC, and some are just completely different. You know what I mean? But every weekend or every day, you could just go for a walk and just be somewhere, you know what I mean, somewhere different, and it was just get that different experience, and it was great.
A different vibe, different perspective.
Yeah.
People dress differently in the different areas,
Yeah,
etc. I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just it's so freaking cool. Like I love that DC area. So the bottom line is, I just heard something. So the bottom line is you're out there and you're once again getting the best of both worlds. You're getting that international flair, you're getting that college flair, you're getting that academic flair, athletic, academic. So many things are going on. So many things are going on, so many things to choose from. It's your senior year. You have an opportunity to take a 5th year, or you have an opportunity to go play in the European League.
Yeah.
What do you decide?
At that point, I mean, so for me, I had a really big advantage that a lot of guys don't have. So while I was at GW, I ended up getting my Kosovo passport, which then allowed me to play in Europe as a European, which in Europe, so every team is only allowed 2 Americans in most
Mhm.
countries, and then the rest are European. So for me, I had the advantage of being one of the Europeans. So there was more opportunity for me to play in Europe. And I was lucky enough to play in the Kosovo national team, and I already had that. Well, that was happening while I was at GW in my summers, so I was already kind of had a little taste of playing in Europe, and I just knew at that point I already graduated, had my degree, and kind of had a pretty good idea kind of what I want to do after basketball.
Mhm.
So I just made the decision at that point to go play in Europe, and it was quite an experience.
How'd you get your citizenship? Is that something that anybody can do, or?
So my family, like, we're actually originally from Albania, and so my dad was born in Italy, but both my parents are 100% Albanian. So all of our, my grandparents, everyone was born in either Albania or Macedonia, and Kosovo is actually former Yugoslavia. So they're all from that area. And at that point, when I was at GW, the head coach of the national team reached out to me and said, "Listen, we're going to be competing in some really big tournaments. We'd like you to play on our national team." And obviously, if I were to do that, they would give me a passport, which I knew would also help me for my professional career as well.
Mhm.
And I ended up going out there. I want to say my junior year of college, and got to play in some really really big events. And I was playing against NBA players over there, and
Wow.
it was unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah, I read in your bio that you were playing against someone. I didn't write down the name. I apologize, but that you got a chance to play directly against someone.
Yeah, I played against like Zoran Dragic, who's like the starting point guard for the Miami Heat, which was pretty amazing. We played against a lot of ex NBA guys, but again, for me, it was cool just to be a college kid. And every other weekend when I was there, we were in a new country every weekend, whether it was Italy or France, and I got to again see all these different places. And I think I definitely recommend that to anyone, just to get to travel the world and see, all these countries. To me, that was just priceless, and it was an amazing, amazing journey.
Well, can anyone do that? I mean, not everyone can go get a passport like that and have that same opportunity.
No, I mean that was a thing. So for me, I had that advantage because of my family background, and the history of obviously where we're from. So once I had that opportunity, I knew for me it just kind of made the most sense, um, to go to just to go to Europe, and kind of that was my ultimate dream. I really never had kind of dreams of playing in the NBA. Of course, if I could have, that would have been the ultimate one. But my dad played in Europe for 16 years, so for me, I always knew I just wanted to play in Europe. And when I had the opportunity, I kind of just took it.
So how can someone else have that opportunity? What are some of the pathways that they can take to get there?
I mean, it kind of starts off with, I think you got to have obviously some college basketball experience, in the sense of obviously playing at Division 1 level is easier. There's definitely a lot of great players that have played at Division 2 and Division 3 and have climbed the ranks and found ways to play in Europe. But usually what happens is, agents start to reach out to you when you're in college. And if you sign with an agent, they represent you. And obviously they get in contact with GMs and owners throughout Europe, and they pretty much market you. And if they find something, or if there's, something connects and there's a team that's interested, they obviously send a contract. You go over the contract, see if it's something that's worth it, obviously negotiate. And if you like it, they fly you out. They give you, obviously a home is included, a car. And
Oh, wow. So if you play in the international league, they give you a home and a car?
yeah,
Get out. I didn't know that.
which is pretty, so that again, for me, it was like, I'm 23, 24 years old, living in Europe on my own, obviously getting paid a salary. And on top of the salary, I have a free home, a free car, and I'm in Europe, traveling. So for me, I just thought that was just an unbelievable, opportunity.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So are there particular scouts who work with the International League versus individuals who work with the American League?
So what kind of happens is that there's so many leagues in Europe, because again, you have obviously every country has its own league, and then there's different divisions in each country. But usually most agents, like American agents that represent guys in NBA, kind of just work on players obviously here in the countries. And then obviously the European guys stay in Europe, but a lot of times they partner with the American agents, and that's how they find their players. So if there's an agent in New York and he's partnered with a guy in France, he could say, "Hey, listen, I have this guy." They connect, and that's how they kind of, you know, put the player in contact with them.
Wow. Wow. So you could not actually go out and find an international agent on your own, more than likely.
You can. So you could go on like there's a website. Obviously, there's a big like NBA.com. There's a website called the Eurobasket, which is like the ultimate site that covers all European basketball, and they have agents on there, and you could reach out to them and see if you could connect with them. There's so many different ways. There's so many guys. Every guy kind of has their own process and how they can do it. Some obviously are so talented where agents are flooding them and trying to get them to sign with them. Then you have other guys who go to camps and showcases, or try to find ways to get that exposure and get that opportunity to find a way to get out there.
Now you have a pathway that can help people, right? You have a
Yes.
camp?
Yeah. So May 29th and May 30th, I'm actually running a European showcase here in New Jersey, in Whippany, New Jersey. And we'll be flying in some coaches and agents, and they'll be in attendance. And we'll also have a bunch on live stream that'll be watching players. And again, if any are good enough, or if any of these agents or coaches have interest, we connect them with them and help them, pursue their dream of playing in Europe.
So walk me through the process. I'm a basketball player and I'm pretty good. Now, I keep in mind this is a process and a joke, because I'm not a basketball player and I'm not pretty good at basketball, but I'm a basketball player and I'm pretty good. Why do I contact your program, or what makes me think like, oh my gosh, let me contact this program?
Well, I think I love the fact that I've played in Europe now for the last 4 or 5 years, and with my international experience with the national team, and obviously my dad playing there for 16 years as well, we have so much. I just feel like I have so many connections and so many avenues to help these guys, and I've helped a bunch of friends of mine. Like I've had former teammates that have been home that have looked for jobs, and I've picked up the phone and called coaches or called agents and helped them get jobs, or at least connected them with people. And for me, that just felt amazing to use my, I guess, experience or platform or whatever it is I have or have developed over the years. And I think it's a real advantage, and I'd like to, give that to other guys or help other guys, get to where they want to get to.
So I'm going to your camp because you have the expertise, not because you're going to help me further develop. Are you teaching me skills or techniques, or?
No, so for the showcase, it's strictly going to be just more there where they're just playing games and playing in front of these coaches or agents. Obviously, there's not too much skill development or anything of that nature. It's more just guys that are out of college, or guys that have taken that maybe gap year because of COVID and just want to try to find a way to get back, on the court or play professionally, but they just kind of need that. They need that exposure. They need that extra attention, where they could have someone, watching them and, hopefully get them to where they want to go.
So what are the expectations? Someone goes to your camp. Is this the first year of you doing it, or have you done this?
This first year.
So what are the expectations? They go to your camp. What is the recruiting season for international basketball?
Well, so this year it's a little weird, only because obviously COVID. A lot of countries and leagues are actually shortening their seasons. So the way I looked at it was I thought May would be a really good time, especially the end of May, pretty much, yeah, the last weekend in May. I thought that'd be a good time for, because at that point, most coaches would be already done with their season. And now they're starting to look for their players, and it's early on. And a lot of college guys are now just either graduating or are already out of college and pretty much just finding ways to, get them there. You know what I mean? Try to get them as soon as possible, get the process starting. I didn't want to wait too long in the summer. So I wanted to get it, as soon as possible.
So they go to your program in May, or they go to your tryouts in May.
Yeah.
When does the season start for the International League? Like when do they actually start? When do their games start?
So games start usually, again, on a normal season, pre-COVID, and I think this coming year will be a little bit more normal, but usually the season starts in September and training camp practices start in August. So really it's not that they really only have June and July to find kind of find a contract if they want to start from day one. Now, of course, you can still sign mid-season, and there's a bunch of different ways to still get there. But I just looked at it, the sooner the better, and try to jumpstart their process to trying to get over there.
So if they go to this camp in May, or go to your camp in May, this will align them with an opportunity to perform in front of coaches and scouts and etc. overseas. What should they bring, or what should they be prepared to do, or what should they be prepared to provide these individuals?
You're saying what should the coaches or what should the players?
So if the players are coming, should they also bring film? Should they also bring
a
resume? What would they bring? Just so if a coach is there on the spot and they're like, Kelly Jones, I want you to play in my league.
So what I've been doing is every time, so pretty much it's been about, I want to say 12 days since I've just kind of released the dates, and I've, been posting it on my Instagram and Facebook and trying to do the marketing for the event. Whenever guys reach out to me and they have interest in attending, the first thing I do before anything is say, hey, listen, can you send me your bio? I would like your stats and any game film you have. And what I do is I kind of just, I go on my Excel sheets, I break all that stuff down. And if they do attend, I want all that stuff ready. So if a coach says, hey, listen, John Smith is a really good player, what do you have on him? Oh, well, here's this. Like I have all that ready, and I have them kind of give me that kind of as a prerequisite, just, to know that they're qualified enough, they have that background, and I could have it on hand for these coaches or agents or whoever is asking.
So you're doing all the legwork for them? Yeah,
I'm trying at least.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Look at you, Jaren. Okay, so then they come to your program, they do the they follow through on this. Is there any type of skill development that they can also have? Like, will they get feedback, or say, hey, look, or will they be able to look at films and figure out what they could possibly do better?
Yeah, so the facility that we're running the event at, they just put in a really expensive system where they have they have cameras on every court where they could follow the players, and players will have the opportunity to receive the film from the game. And
wow.
Yeah, and I think what we'll do too is prior to the start of the event, I'll probably bring all the guys together and say, listen, like, here's what I expect. Go out there and play. Don't worry too much about, showcasing or whatever. Just play your game. Let the game come natural. Don't force anything. And again, coaches, this is what they do for a living. They could evaluate talent. So don't try to do anything you can't do, or just play your game. And I promise, again, if you're good enough, we could help you out. These guys will find you.
What do you think is the reach for this tournament? A geographic reach, like where do you think your customers will come from for this?
So far, we've gotten a really good turnout so far in terms of just people reaching out to us and everything. I'm getting, another 3-4 emails that guys want to sign up. But so far, it looks like we're getting a lot of guys from obviously the tri-state area. I think we have a guy coming from Maryland as well. That's probably what it's going to be. I'm not expecting, guys from California flying in. Because again, that's, especially now with COVID and traveling and all that stuff, I know it's not easy, getting around right now, but I expect everyone to be kind of from the tri-state area.
Excellent. This is a great opportunity that you're presenting for people. Like I said, a great pathway, a great vehicle for more exposure, And like you said, you do have the network. I've interviewed several people, and one of the things that they'll say is that it is very key that you have a network, because that network can give you that little edge,
Of course, it
little
gives you
edge
that
that you
little bit
might
of
need.
credibility.
Yeah, that you might need in the process. So, so I think that that's phenomenal. So now I do want to tell you that as I was looking you guys up, because I'm also, I'm always trying to find out a little bit more insight about the persons that I'm speaking with before I speak with them. I noticed on your site that there was a picture with Coach K, but I didn't see anything from Carolina. I don't know if I missed it. I mean, I'm very glad that you're wearing a light blue shirt, but you notice I was wearing a different dress, and it's not even hot. Oops, I didn't want to go that low, but it's not low, guys. I'm a good girl. I'm really a good girl. So, but it's not that low, but do you notice the colors on this dress right here?
Yeah, it's a Carolina blue.
Yes. I need to see some Carolina blue up in your, up on your wall. So, especially if you're going to have that big old picture of Coach K on there.
No, you're right.
So I'm asking that, I'm saying that, I'm saying that seriously, because I want to see something Carolina up there, but also I'm saying it jokingly in the sense that, are you working with certain universities along the way in this process?
So now, so like fast forward now, obviously now my dad's obviously still coaching out at Gil St. Bernard's, and they have a really, really elite program there right now with some really top players, guys that are being recruited by, the elite schools. And every year now we're sending these kids to great universities. We have players there now that currently have offers from like Stanford and Georgetown, and kids we have a kid being recruited by Duke and North Carolina and Kentucky and all these great programs. And a lot of these coaches recruited me back in the day. So now I kind of have that relationship with them, and now I'm helping these kids, get to college and, connect them with coaches and whatnot. So it's really come, full circle.
And so you are working with Carolina.
I mean, they are recruiting some of the players. Obviously now with Coach Williams retiring, I don't know who's going to be the new head coach at North Carolina. Obviously, that was shocking news that happened a couple days ago. But yeah, I mean,
oh my God, ugh.
I know,
and that's why I was asking you the whole thing about the recruiting process, because like I said, I went to Carolina, and the big thing was like, well, who's going to take over his position? Who's going to take over his position? And there's a wealth of Carolina alum that could possibly take over that. That head coaching position. So whoever it is, I'm quite sure will be somebody who at least graduated from Carolina or whatever, but there are all the suspicions there. Yeah, all the suspicions there about.
It sounds like they want an alum.
Yeah. All the suspicions there. It's like, who's going to do it? And I said, you know what? Let's honor Roy, right? Give him a few minutes before we actually start pushing on who's going to come next. And I know it's stressful for recruits.
They're definitely anxious.
Yeah, it's stressful for recruits, but there's a little bit early. Is this right around the same time? So it's March 24th. Oh no, we're a little bit later than March 24th, aren't we?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is tough.
But this is about that time where coaches start to, the carousel starts happening, where guys start jumping around, and positions start opening and coaches start retiring. So it's about I'm sure they'll make a decision. I'd be shocked if there isn't a new coach at UNC in the next like 7 to 10 days. I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I mean it's such a big program,
I think it's the ESPN. I read an article, they called it the best job in college basketball, and I agree. I mean, you have the best.
UNC.
It's the greatest. You have the greatest player that's ever lived played there. That alone, just to be able to say that alone, and they have such rich history, and there's just something about the Carolina blue that people love.
Oh God, and the camaraderie and the just, yeah. I mean, the school is amazing. Yeah. Coming from New Jersey, it was so funny. I'll tell you something really funny. My freshman year, right? I was coming from New Jersey. So I went to Parsippany High, right? Parsippany High and Parsippany Hills have the rivalry, right?
Yeah.
So my freshman year, I was, they had this freshman float, right? And so I was on the freshman float, and I didn't know. I mean, I don't even know how I got there. But anyway, I was on the freshman float for like, the pep rally, parade, whatever, right? So we're getting on the float. And so you got to remember, I'm a little bit older, right? So we're getting on the float, and there's these two puff dummies, like how they like the foamy ones and stuff like that, like that. Okay, so there's these two puff dummies, and there's one that has like NC State on it, and it has like all blood and everything like that. And then the other one, and the football player does. And then there's the one from the UNC, and he's like, oh, and I'm like, got home, we had the rotary phone that you dial and stuff like that. So I got home back to the door and called my mom. I said, Mom, I want to go home. They're so violent here. I'm so scared. I don't know if I can make it. But I learned about the rivalry between Carolina and Duke and State and etc. And it is, you cannot be like Carolina and Duke, fans. In the end, you will actually pick one of the schools. Yeah, but the funniest thing is, even though there's all that, like, you have to choose a team, you have to pick a team. 9 times out of 10, if I like Carolina, like my daughter went to NC State. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. All my cousins went to NC State. So 9 times out of 10, there's usually a house divided. Like there's usually, Carolina and Duke, or Carolina and State, and etc. So even though there's that kind of that rivalry, there's still kind of that, like, that whole fun family thing.
Of course, it's cool. It's cool to just even, watch the games together, or root against each other. That's what makes college sports so great,
Yeah. And the town, like, literally shuts down. Like when Carolina plays, I mean, everything is packed. The restaurants are packed. The street, Franklin Street is packed. Everything is packed. And you know how when they won the game, they actually, even though they beat Duke, they were supposed to stay inside during COVID. They didn't. So
big of a deal. They go crazy for it.
Oh gosh, everything. But like I said, it's amazing because there's so much, there's so much camaraderie around. I mean, I've been out of school those many years. And even though I've been out of school those many years, I still go to the games, the big games, and enjoy the excitement. So Carolina Tar Heels, don't forget to put a little ram or a little something up there for me. Right.
We'll make sure we get that done.
Well, listen, Jaren, thank you so much for everything. I just want to ask you, as we talk about the best of both worlds, and we're talking about, once again, the opportunity to work to be in the U.S., to, play overseas, to have so many things in a, it's not such a narrow pathway. There's always options and more opportunities, more options with college, more, there's no dead end road. So having the best of both worlds, can you provide some advice to listeners as to how to make sure that they're always looking at, new opportunities, more opportunities, and never stunting their growth?
I mean, I think the best advice I would give is kind of enjoy the moment you're at. I think what tends to happen when you're looking for these, when you have these such great goals, sometimes you're always looking, for the next thing, and you're at so many amazing, points. And I always say kind of enjoy the journey. You know what I mean? Because you're at a point where you're, like I said, if you're playing at a high level in high school, or even academically, or whatever your situation is, or whatever you're great at, I think it's just amazing to take it one step at a time, slow it down, enjoy the situation, because there's going to come points where we talked about it, adversity hits, and sometimes you're like, oh, I can't wait to, get out of here, whatever. But that's kind of what makes some of those moments sweeter. And that's my biggest advice would be, again, just enjoy the journey. Like I said, slow things down, and really just kind of enjoy the entire process as a whole.
Because the reality is, something's going to hit, whether it hits during college, whether it hits during high school, whether it hits, post college. You can't play basketball forever. You can't be 99 or, whatever age. You can't be X age and continue to play basketball. So at some particular point in time, there's going to be a transition. And if you only put yourself in one world, if you only put yourself in one lane, what happens is, when that transition happens, or when that new opportunity happens, your eyes are not open and you're not ready for it.
No, you're so right. That's 100% truth.
I like that. I'm so right. Say that again. Just kidding. Say that again. I'm sorry. That was my bad ear. What'd you say? No. But making sure that you are expanding your opportunities, your options, your insight, your whatever, your network within more than just one arena, or more than just one network. Because once again, like I said, you're going to hit an impasse with everything you do.
Yeah, it's part of life. You know what I mean? Like I said, whatever it is, whether it's, school, sports, your job, whatever it is, there's going to come that point where things obviously get tough. But I think that's what also makes what makes it so sweet is when you could get over that, and you know what I mean, and just fight through it. That's what makes the journey so much better.
Wow. You're sounding like a truly man that's getting ready to what's the big step? Mark told me about something big is coming your way.
Well, we're expecting a baby boy in May, which is pretty amazing.
Yes, yes. You know it's a boy?
Yeah, we're so excited.
Have you picked out a name?
We have some obviously names we're thinking of, but obviously we're stressing out about that. It's again, I think what we're gonna do is probably come up with some names, and then when the baby's born, just be like, all right, I think this is what we're gonna go with.
You can always name Carolina because you didn't have a picture of Carolina on your I'm just kidding.
I'm like, "Ah." I won't name him Duke.
You know, good answer, good answer. So, and is this the I saw something like a tweet that said like the best girlfriend in the world?
Yeah, I've been with well, my fiance. We were actually supposed to get married last summer, but our wedding got canceled because of COVID,
Mhm.
which kind of stinks, obviously. But we've been together since high school, which is pretty amazing.
Wow. So when you were traveling overseas, did she come overseas with you or
Yeah,
what?
she was with me at one. I was playing in Austria one year, so we got to live in Austria together. We traveled out, throughout Europe for an entire year and got to do all these amazing things together, which I thought was pretty cool.
So I gotta ask this. So when you were overseas, I know it's kind of corny, but when
No,
you're overseas, were you, I mean, you were like a basketball player, and obviously from your height, people could tell. Did anybody ever stop you and ask you for your autograph?
yeah, I mean, the biggest place I thought when I was in France, the community there was big in terms of basketball, and when like actually it was a big town, but wherever we were, like we'd go out to restaurants, whatever, everyone kind of knew who we were and stuff, which was pretty cool. It was like that most countries. There's a lot of fans and stuff, which it was made you feel good, I guess.
Yeah. So what do you think the first time you signed your autograph?
Um, I don't know. It was I think it was kind of weird, but it was definitely humbling too. At the same time, you feel like it's pretty amazing that someone wants your autograph or feels like you're valued that much. But it was pretty cool.
So my parents, my mom was the practical one. She was the one that would like, you know, just had everything in order. We got to do this, we got to do that. She's very orderly, phenomenal, phenomenal. My dad was the visionary, right? He was the big picture person.
Yeah.
So when I was little, he said, my dad said, well, famous people have a messy signature, right? This is my dad and I, right?
Yeah.
Famous people have a messy signature. So one day we spent the day just practicing our signature and making it messy, right? He knew how to write.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, my mother's a teacher and she's very big on like penmanship and all that. So my signature was beautiful. It was absolutely gorgeous. But I practiced making this sloppy signature because my dad said to me, he said, one day you're going to be famous, Kelly, and you're going to sign an autograph.
Oh, that's
So that was kind of our corny story, is that my dad is deceased, but we always worked on we worked on signing the autographs.
yeah.
So it's really cool that you had an opportunity to sign the autographs, take the pictures, keep the memories, inspire, encourage other people along the way, with the opportunity to, once again, like I said, look at more options, look at more opportunities. If someone is looking to play overseas, just one more thing, someone's looking to play overseas, is there anything else that you could recommend? Like, should they start looking into, should they consider the whole passport thing? Should they consider, are there some things that might help them along the way that we're not even thinking of right now?
No, I think the basis would be obviously just working your game. Talking to high school guys, younger guys, obviously try to compete at the highest level in college if you can. And then for college guys, get your film together, get your, obviously try to put together good, stats, and look into your family heritage, look into your background. If your grandparents were born in Europe, or if you have, some history, like I've had teammates, that were from Nigeria or different places, or I had another team that was from the Bahamas and also got a Bohemian passport. Those are things maybe just to look into that, because that really can help you down the line. I know it sounds, and again, it's just amazing. No matter what, I think to get a citizenship or to be recognized from another country on top of, the United States, I think it's just pretty cool to have, really. So
I never even thought about that. So I need to contact ancestry.com.
Yeah, see where you're from.
And see where I'm from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'll tell you offline, but I'm not going to tell you on here. But well, no, I'll tell you anyway. So I've done a bunch of those not ancestry things, but those things on Facebook. And so every time I do it, the person that they match me up with is Caucasian.
Huh.
Like my features are always matching the Caucasian persons. So like I don't even know if I want to do the test, because I'm like, I don't know if they might tell me like I'm from like wherever, I don't know, Finland or something, and I don't speak, the language. But yeah, but that's a sweet idea to actually have individuals look at something like ancestry.com. See, like I said, I know, little things that we don't even think of,
Yeah.
that you can provide insight and guidance on. So if someone wanted to contact you with regards to improving some of those skills, fundamentals, or maybe getting a 3-pointer like you, with your amazing 3-pointer record, if they wanted to contact you with regards to the skill development, I'm only talking skill development right
Yeah.
now, maybe that would be your hoops, Sina hoops.
Yeah, the best way, I think, I mean, most people find the best way to contact me is we have a sinashhoopacademy.com, and on there, obviously, has my email, phone number, ways to register, obviously all the showcase events, dates, and all that stuff. So it's probably the best way would be to go to our website.
Now, that is for like the fundamental stuff. Now, does that also include the international showcase that you're talking about as well?
Well,
Is that being done through Siena Hoops, or is that something else?
we're running it at Hoop Heaven, which is a facility in Whippany, New Jersey. But so we're partnered with them. So it's kind of like Hoop Heaven. It's the Hoop Heaven European Showcase presented by Sina's Hoop Academy. So we're the ones kind of, putting it together and whatnot, but it's taking place at Hoop Heaven, which is another basketball facility and business in Whippany, New Jersey.
And if they wanted to apply for that particular program, would they use the same exact contact information you just gave me?
Yeah, so they could either go to Hoop Heaven. So it's on both. Obviously, since we're both obviously partnered, they can go to Hoop Heaven. Well, let's say Hoop Heaven's Instagram page, and they have the flyer posted there, and they could also go to Sina's Hoop Academy and find it there as well.
And what is the actual name of the program once again?
It's you're saying the showcase?
The showcase.
It's the Hoop Heaven European Showcase.
Hoop Heaven European Showcase. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. So just before we leave, Jaren, is there anything else that you would like to mention that I may have forgotten to mention along the way?
No. I mean, it actually brought me down like memory lane. I haven't really talked about a lot of this stuff for a long time. So I thought it was amazing just to kind of talk about, the journey and kind of how I got to where I am today. And I thought that was kind of really enjoyed that. I had a really good time talking about that stuff.
Cool. I am so glad. And I didn't pay him to say that, guys.
No,
I'm sorry, keep talking.
No, it was great. Like I said, you really brought me back. We talked about a lot of stuff that I really haven't talked about in a long time or never before. So it's pretty amazing.
Cool. So listen, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. This is Jaren Sina. Jaren Sina is once again hosting a international tryout or international, tell me once again.
Showcase.
Thank you. Yeah. International showcase for basketball players, which is coming up very, very soon. So if you're interested, please check out the site. It is in May. And thank you once again for everything, Jaren.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Awesome. And we will be talking soon. Take care.
Thank you so much.